the Pope just set the Vatican on fire, spiritually and politically. Just hours ago, a short, almost casual document slipped out from the Apostolic Palace. No grand theological treatise, no complex debate, just a direct, devastating decree. Its Latin title, Restaurare in Christo, Restore in Christ. Inside the Church, however, it already has another name, the Abolition, because in a single move, Pope Leo XIV has wiped out 4 of the most entrenched pillars of modern Catholic tradition. No vote, no warning, no committees, just one quiet signature, and now the world's oldest institution is in uproar. No more clerical aristocracy. As of today, Your Eminence, Your Excellency, and Monsignor are gone, forever. From the newest parish priest to the most senior cardinal, all will be called simply Father, including Pope Leo himself, who now says he is only to be addressed as Father Leo. His note was blunt. A father does not need a title to be known by his children. He only needs to be present. 2. The Vatican Bank, dissolved. For decades it was a fortress of secrecy, billions hidden from scrutiny. Nicknamed the Vatican Bank, officially the Institute for the Works of Religion, it's been at the center of scandal after scandal. Today, it no longer exists. Its assets are being liquidated into a fully transparent fund for global diocesan aid, audited by a secular Swiss firm with public reports every quarter. The Church of Christ cannot own a bank that operates in the shadows, wrote Leo. Mercy, over rules for divorced and remarried Catholics. For centuries, millions were barred from receiving communion without an annulment. Many quietly suffered, watching others receive what they were denied. As of today, that automatic ban is gone. Leo's message: we have been gatekeepers of rules when we should have been ministers of mercy. God's grace cannot be bound by human regulations. 4. The end of the pontifical secret in abuse cases. Centuries of institutional secrecy, over. Any case involving abuse of a minor or vulnerable adult will now be fully open to civil authorities upon request. To protect a child is a sacred duty. To protect an institution at their expense is a sin. Cardinals inside the Apostolic Palace are calling it treason. He's throwing his bishops to the wolves for the sake of public opinion, one of them reportedly fumed. He's inviting the secular world to judge the Church. When Pope Leo heard about that remark, his response was swift and ice-cold. The wolves, he said, are not the prosecutors. The wolves were the ones who preyed on the sheep. That one line told the world everything. This isn't about preserving traditions anymore. It's about justice. And Leo has made it clear that the survival of the institution is now secondary to the safety of its most vulnerable members. From there, the decrees kept coming. One after another, they broke centuries-old habits and rewrote the job description of a bishop, a priest, and even the Pope himself. Take the mandatory year of service for all new bishops. Before a man can wear the mitre or wield the staff, he now has to spend 12 months in the grit of the real world, in a refugee camp, a prison chaplaincy, a homeless shelter, or a mission outpost. No silk robes, no palace offices, just simple housing, basic meals, and hard work shoulder to shoulder with the forgotten. A shepherd must smell like his sheep, Leo wrote. He cannot lead from a palace if he has never walked in the mud. Careerists in the Church are rattled. Seminary rectors say some men who once had their eyes on power are quietly reconsidering their vocations. This one rule alone could change the DNA of Church leadership for a century. Then came the demolition of the legalistic annulment system, the endless paperwork, tribunals, and years-long waits that felt more like criminal trials than a path to healing. Leo replaced it with pastoral discernment, a prayer-driven process led by a local priest and lay volunteer, free of charge, completed in months, not years. It's a move that infuriates canon lawyers, but for people like Megan, a Catholic teacher from Chicago, it's freedom after years of feeling trapped. Even the small symbols of power are falling. The centuries-old tradition of kissing the papal or episcopal ring, gone. Handshakes, hugs, and embraces will now take its place. The faithful are not subjects, Leo wrote. We are family. And in the name of transparency, the Pope has blown the doors off the Vatican's inner chambers. All official documents will now be released in the world's most spoken languages, not just Latin, and every diocese on earth will undergo public, independent financial audits. It is not the bishop's money, the decree says. It is the people's money, given to God. Each change is a brick removed from the towering wall that separated the hierarchy from the people. Together, they are reshaping the Church into something flatter, humbler, and far more accountable. Pope Leo isn't just reforming the Catholic Church, he's turning it inside out. Some dioceses are drowning in debt. Others have poured vast sums into opulent cathedrals or lavish residences. Still, others have quietly paid millions in secret abuse settlements. For decades, these financial realities have been buried in silence, hidden from the very people whose generosity funds the Church. Now, under Pope Leo's sweeping reforms, all of that is about to be dragged into the light. A bishop from the American Midwest, speaking only on condition of anonymity, didn't mince words. This is a nightmare. We will be judged by people who don't understand the complexities of running a diocese. It's a populist move that will hamstring our ability to make difficult financial decisions. But for lay Catholics like Lisa, a parish leader in Ireland, this moment feels long overdue. It's about time. We give our money in good faith. Seeing where it actually goes will either restore our trust or confirm our fears. Either way, the truth is better than the silence. This new transparency initiative isn't just about money, it's about shifting the balance of power. By demanding full public audits every 5 years, Pope Leo is decentralizing authority in a way that empowers the average Catholic in the pew. It means that financial stewardship will no longer be an internal matter for chancery offices. It will be a public trust that can be examined, questioned, and, if necessary, challenged. And then comes a move that strikes at the heart of one of Catholicism's most emotionally fraught theological ideas, the abolition of limbus infantium, limbo. For centuries, limbo was taught as a theoretical in-between place for infants who died without baptism. Not heaven, not hell, just a state of natural happiness without the direct vision of God. It was never official doctrine, yet it weighed heavily on grieving parents who wondered about the eternal fate of their children. Pope Leo has ended the speculation. In his new document, he declares limbo a human theological construct that has caused needless spiritual anguish. God's mercy is not limited by our sacraments, he writes. We must trust in the infinite love of a God who created every child. We commend these souls to the Father's loving embrace. For millions of parents, this is an extraordinary relief. But it is not without controversy. Some traditional theologians are unsettled, arguing that this change undercuts the necessity of baptism and risks theological confusion. If baptism isn't required for an infant's salvation, they ask, is it necessary for anyone? Leo's response is pastoral, not polemical. For him, this isn't about dismantling sacramental theology, it's about standing with a mother and father in their grief and offering them the hope of God's boundless mercy instead of a painful doctrinal puzzle. It's a deliberate choice of the human heart over the theological textbook. Then comes one of the most explosive announcements yet, the opening of the diaconate to women. For centuries, ordained ministry in the Catholic Church has been male only. Deacons, ranked just below priests, can preach, baptize, and preside over weddings and funerals, though they cannot celebrate Mass or hear confessions. Historically, this role was reserved for men. Leo has now given local bishops' conferences permission to begin ordaining women as deacons. He draws a clear line. This is not about ordaining women as priests, but it is still a seismic shift. His rationale is rooted in history. The early Church had female deacons or deaconesses who served their communities in precisely these ways. The reaction has been swift and polarized. Progressive Catholic women's groups are hailing the move as a breakthrough, a long-overdue acknowledgement of the vital work women already perform in parishes worldwide. Conservative voices, however, are sounding alarms, calling it an unthinkable breach with sacred tradition and a dangerous capitulation to secular feminism. If implemented widely, the change could alter parish life dramatically. The homily at your Sunday Mass might soon be delivered by a woman. The person baptizing your child could be a woman. For Pope Leo, this isn't just a policy tweak, it's a reimagining of who can stand at the altar and serve in Christ's name. And his reforming hand doesn't stop there. The canonization process, the long, complex and costly road to becoming a recognized saint, is being radically simplified. No longer will 2 verified miracles be required. The new standard, called recognition of holy witness, centers on the testimony of the local community about a person's life of heroic virtue. Sainthood is not a prize to be won, but a life to be recognized, Leo writes. We have made it a legal proceeding when it should be a celebration of grace. Critics argue this will devalue the meaning of sainthood, turning it into something like a participation trophy for living a decent life. But Leo's intent is to bring holiness closer to the people, to affirm the saints who walk among us, not just the ones immortalized in stained glass. He has also transformed the traditional ad limina visits, once a formal bureaucratic review of bishops by the Vatican, into multi-day spiritual retreats focused solely on prayer, reflection, and fraternity. Gone are the detailed reports and administrative interrogations. In their place, open conversations, shared struggles, and genuine pastoral connection. I do not want to read reports, Leo told the bishops. I want to know my brothers. The unity of the Church is forged in shared prayer, not in shared paperwork. And perhaps most dramatically from a financial perspective, he has abolished the centuries-old diocesan tax to Rome, a move that strikes at the very heart of the Vatican's economic model. Through all these changes, one pattern is clear. Pope Leo is dismantling the barriers, financial, bureaucratic and symbolic, that have separated the hierarchy from the people. Whether you see him as a prophet or a provocateur, he is undeniably reshaping the Church's future in ways that will be felt for generations. For centuries, dioceses around the world were required to send a portion of their income to Rome, a so-called diocesan tax to fund the Vatican's central administration, the Curia. That era is over. Pope Leo has ended it. From now on, contributions to the Holy See will be entirely voluntary. His reasoning? Brutal in its simplicity. The central government of the Church should be lean, humble, and dependent on the charity of the faithful, not the forced tribute of dioceses. If Rome cannot inspire generosity, he says, it does not deserve support. This move forces the Vatican to live like the rest of the Church, by service, not entitlement. It will mean downsizing departments, cutting costs, and justifying every expense. For bishops struggling to keep their parishes alive, it's a relief. But inside the Vatican, the mood is closer to panic. This is managed decline, it's chaos, one senior official told the Italian press. And that's just one of Leo's sweeping reforms. He's also declared the synodal path, listening, dialogue, shared discernment between laypeople, priests and bishops, as the permanent way the Church will operate. No more top-down monarchy. From now on, authority means listening first. Some call it the birth of a constitutional papacy. Others call it the end of the papacy as we know it. Put all these changes together, the financial decentralization, the listening model, the stripping away of pomp and bureaucracy, and you see one colossal shift. Leo is trying to take the Catholic Church back to its roots, small, humble, poor, and centered on a shepherd who washed feet and broke bread with outsiders. In Rome, the tension is electric. Some cardinals whisper he's a saint sent to save the Church from itself. Others mutter he's a reckless radical, dismantling the very structures that have kept it alive for 2 millennia. And somewhere in the Vatican corridors, the word schism is being whispered. When a journalist asked Pope Leo why he's doing all this at once, his answer was short and sharp. A shepherd doesn't wait for the wolves to ask permission. Whether you're Catholic, another faith, or no faith at all, you are watching something extraordinary. A man taking on one of the most ancient, powerful institutions in history from the inside out. Will the Church break apart or be reborn? Will this be remembered as courageous renewal or historic folly? No one knows. But one thing is certain, the old way is over. The silence is broken, the ground is shifting. Maybe this isn't just church news. Maybe it's a story about courage, And what happens when someone decides the way things have always been is no longer good enough? Even the oldest, heaviest doors can still be pushed open, if someone is willing to lean on them with all their weight. So, is Pope Leo going too far, or finally doing what had to be done? This isn't reform, this is a revolution, and it's coming from inside the papacy itself. Pope Leo XIV is not playing by the old rules, he's tearing them up. The question is, will the Church follow or fight him to the end?